do it. Okay, so Natalia asks a really great question for her friend. She says, what about like Native Americans who lived 1,000 years ago in North America who never had the opportunity to hear the message of Jesus? It doesn't seem right and fair to me that God would condemn these people who never had a chance to make the right decision. I got to tell you, that's something that I personally wrestled with a lot. It's something that caused me to have to really dig into Scripture and try to understand. And I want you to know, ultimately, the conclusion I came to is that nowhere in Scripture does God tell us that He's going to give us the minutia of His plan. He doesn't tell us, hey, I want you to know everything about how I judge everybody. He just doesn't lay it out for us. And so ultimately, the conclusion I came to is that out of Isaiah 55, that as far as the heavens are above the earth, His ways are above my ways. His thoughts are above our thoughts. And He just hasn't told me how this literally works out. Now, having said that, there are, like, what I want to do is give you a broad spectrum here of what it could be and how He would make a decision based on some Scripture. So down here on the one side, there's this thought that goes like this. For all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. Every single person on earth, core to the gospel, is deserving, let me say that word again, deserving of punishment. Like we all deserve condemnation and punishment because of who we are. There's nobody that doesn't deserve that. And so ultimately, people that never heard the message of Jesus really deserved what they got. The unfair thing, the thing that isn't just or isn't right, is that I would be able to believe in Jesus and be able to receive grace, because that is not what I deserve. That's actually the unfair thing. And so they who died and received condemnation, they deserved that. They got what they got. And we understand that. When we look at people that are, go in and murder or kill a whole family, we look at them and we go, yeah, and if they go on death row or they go to the prison for the rest of their life, we go, that's what they deserved. We don't have any qualms about that. God sees all of us that way and looks down and says, because of your ungodliness, because of your heart, because of who you are, everybody deserves punishment and condemnation. Now, on the other hand, there are several times in Scripture where you get the idea that God only holds you accountable for what you know. Jesus said to His disciples, talking about the people of His time, He said, if they had never heard me taught, they would not be guilty of sin. If they had never seen me perform miracles, then they would not be guilty because they wouldn't have seen it. But as it is, they have heard me, they have seen me, and because they've heard me and because they've seen me, they are now accountable for what they know. Right? So God gives us the idea that really only what you understand is what you're accountable for. So you look at that and go, okay, so how did God make up His mind 1,000 years ago, Native Americans living in North America? How did He decide? How does He judge? Again, I don't ultimately know, but I know in Romans chapter 1 it says that men are without excuse because God and who He is can be clearly seen from what has been created. So ultimately, God looks at everybody that's ever lived and He makes up His mind. He makes a decision because He knows everybody's heart. He knows what decisions people would have made if they would have heard the message of Jesus. And I have to trust that He knows what He's doing, and He will be the God that He is in the rest of Scripture. He will be both just and righteous and good and loving. So ultimately, we have to put it in God's hands, but there's some things to think about. This is not something you should walk by quickly and make up your mind about. This is something you should spend some time to truly understand.